Hey guys, happy Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, October 23rd, 2018, and we are all pink today for a reason. These are my beautiful friends. Look how great they look. And I'll introduce them in a second, but I need a thumbs up. Let us know you can hear us or see us. Somebody actually didn't hear me yesterday, so we had to adjust the volume, but just let us know we're live and that you can hear us or see us. There we go. Jeff Willie's on. Jeff Wiley, Jeff Willie, is it Willie? I don't know, but it's a great morning anyway. So give us a thumbs up and a heart. Hey, Jay Fulbright, or something to let us know you can hear us or see us. And I'm just gonna go with that because somebody, Tyler, what's up, buddy? So today we are with the beautifully pink and powerful, hey Neil, these four gorgeous ladies who are all survivors. This is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, if you didn't know and you couldn't tell by our pink outfits. And they all have great stories, and so you guys came up with the idea, I think, and then I brought Nadia and Christina in, and so let's have a party and talk about breast cancer awareness and what it's like to be a survivor. Welcome, ladies. See? Oh, they're so quiet. Trust me, give them a minute. Nobody's going to be quiet.
That's right.
It's all downhill from here. So I'm going to go from my left. I've got, in the back, I've got Odalis Ramos. Then I have Nadia Quintin here. Christina Felix in the way back. And then Sandra Mantellini right here. All right? Did I do it right? Yes. Good morning, everybody. Perfect. See, we're getting lots of love. Yeah. Okay, so obviously we're in pink. Pink is that's the color of breast cancer awareness. Anything to do with breast cancer, period, pretty much. Yes. And so these four ladies volunteered graciously to come on and tell their stories, which I think it's so important. Because when you get that diagnosis, it punches you in the stomach, and then you have this new battle that you're having to try to overcome, try to deal with, try to figure out, so that you can survive, but you also have to do it while you're still living your life. So there's so many things that we don't think about. I've not had cancer, thank God, but I've had a lot of friends who have. And that's the biggest thing, is you have to find a way to deal with your treatment, deal with your prognosis, deal with doctors, deal with appointments, and still lead a life. You still probably have to work. So anyway, we'll start. I don't know if we want to start front to back, back to front. Okay. So Odalis, let's start with you. That's Odalis Ramos. So give us a little background on you. I'm going to ask you guys just to give us a little background, give us some of your story, and then we'll get into what it's like to be a survivor.
Yes, I'm living my best life now. In 2009, they found that I had cancer. I didn't want to have a mammogram because I was so sick and tired of having mammograms, painful. But then finally, the doctor said that I can have the digital mammogram, and that's how they found the cancer.
Wow.
Then I have 9 months of chemotherapy, and they had to stop because my heart started to get large and big, and I could not take any more chemo, or I will have a stroke or heart attack.
So that was a result of the chemo. That can be an after effect, side effect.
Every time I was going through divorce at the same time.
Oh my God.
The husband at that time, he could not deal with the situation of me losing the breast and losing hair and things like that.
Is that something, and you guys can pop in as we're going through the stories, that I'm going to ask the natural questions as they come to my mind. Is that something that partners, guys, girls, whatever your partner is, actually that's an issue for them? Does it become, obviously for you it became an issue and he couldn't handle it?
No, I think they're going through their own mourning situation, sadness, and they don't know how to deal with. Then they just move away and they just don't want to deal with that. I was living with MS. I'm living for 32 years, and he was doing really good. I was in a wheelchair and everything was going good, but when I had cancer, he just could not handle it.
That was the last straw for him.
I was going through divorce, going through chemo, and going through all that process together. but I never was scared. I was angry.
Yeah.
I was like, how cancer dare to mess with me?
Yeah.
It's like,
I love that.
think
That's
so.
awesome.
No.
Then
Pick the wrong one.
that gave me the energy to fight back and to embrace myself and give myself permission to be sad and depressed and go to the darkness, but then never stay there.
Right.
Because it's important to give yourself permission to go through the process, and then like that you can become better. Then I used to give myself like 15 minutes to be sorry about myself.
You had to give yourself
Before the
permission.
10 minutes, I was like, come on, I have things to do. And I used to put my lip gloss on my lipstick and say, I have to party.
Yeah.
Then the hardest part was going through the chemo, but then the second hardest part was to lose the breast, to go to the double mastectomy and see myself in front of the mirror and said, oh my God. But then suddenly in a second I say, well, this is the scar of a warrior.
Oh, I love that.
Right.
That's
Scar
awesome.
of a person that went to war and won, and this is
Amen.
just the scars to prove it.
That's
And then
awesome.
after the reconstruction is painful because they stretch the skin to be able to put implants later on. But then I survived all of that, and then I'm cancer free.
Yay.
Amen.
And I party all the time. I
Yes.
live my life like today is my birthday. Like today is my wedding day. Like today is I just won the lottery. I use the best silverware and cups and glasses because I don't wait for a reason.
I love
just
that.
celebrate, and that's how I live my life. Yes.
Okay, Christina. Beautiful, Odalis.
Wow. Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
That was
Goosebumps.
awesome. So inspiring to be around so many women who have walked through that and overcome and are still, kind of figuring life out after all that. But so for me, I was diagnosed in February of 2016. It was I found my lump on Valentine's Day. I always joke with Ted because I'm like, my husband wasn't doing anything with me that day, so I felt myself up. And that's
It's
when
still
I
one of my
found-
favorite stories. Dan loves to hear that story, Christina.
And so I found my lump, and it was just, from there, it was like, they were super aggressive. It was chemo, then, I had the option to just do a single mastectomy, but I opted for both because I was like, I don't want to have to go through this again. And, being in my 30s at the time, the breast tissue is very dense and lumpy, and I didn't want to miss it if it was going to, come back on the other side. So I opted to have a double mastectomy, and I started reconstruction. For me, reconstruction I felt like was the most challenging because I had a lot of back pain. And then once I got fully expanded, I had to have radiation, and then the radiation damaged my skin so bad that my implant wouldn't hold. So I had to end up having tissue and skin and things taken out of my back to put towards my front. So talk about when you look at yourself, in the mirror. I mean, I opted to not do any, I said scrap the nipples, take it with everything else. So now on my right side, it kind of looks like I have this patch of skin that's in the shape of almost like a football. And so it's really, it's interesting to kind of see this version of yourself after you go through everything. But I would agree with Odalis, I feel like I'm living my best life now. You don't know what tomorrow has. And I feel like God, has surrounded me with, all the supports that I needed. Definitely my libido has been affected. So my poor husband, he's been affected in that way because he's
Sure.
Hispanic and they love to love and be loved.
Right.
So that has been, a little bit of, a challenge. But I have to say, I'm very well connected with Pushing Pink Elephants. It's an organization that a close friend of mine started in 2012, and she's really all about pushing prevention. We have awareness down, but we really need to focus on how can we get these insurance companies on board with us so that we can, do more to prevent it from getting to where it's getting, and then with that comes a cure. Because if we can prevent it from even happening, then we can eliminate it altogether.
Right.
So my goal, and if anybody on here knows anything about how to kind of get that whole thing going with insurance companies, I mean, I'm very passionate because I've recently had another scare. I found a lump on my left side, and I had to get an ultrasound done. and they said that there was no evidence of anything going on there regarding it being cancer related. However, there is something going on with my implant, and the only real way for me to know in a full, picture of what's happening is to get an MRI. So now I'm having to go through all these loopholes to get this MRI because the ultrasound tech didn't put it in my in anything for recommendation, but she did say that to me verbally. I should go follow up with oncology for an MRI, and oncology said, well, I can't order that because it's not in the notes, it hasn't been dictated. So now it's like, it's become another full-time job, just to get the right types of diagnostic tools. I've already been through this once. I try to, do what I can to prevent any, recurrences, and, it's just really been a battle trying to get these insurance companies on board. I mean, I think we're more reactive when it comes to insurance than proactive. And so my goal is to if anybody can, all of us come together and just figure out a way to, tackle this so we can get on with prevention and push prevention.
It'd be nice if, and they might have it, but American Cancer Society there's so many proponents there. You would think that there would be somebody who would be an advocate for that all the time. I don't know the answer to that though, but I know it's got to be frustrating. Geez, it's frustrating just to get a lab done, and I can't even imagine having the MRI and having to fight that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for having
and I
us
love the
back.
pink hair. Pink earrings. Yes, you got it all. All right, Sandra, who's kind of out of the picture here. Let me get her in. There she is. You're good. You're good. This is Sandra Mantellini.
Mantellini. Italian.
Italian.
The nose busts me.
The nose busts you.
I love you, Dad.
Love it.
Well, yes, my name is Sandra Mantellini. I got my diagnosis on the 21st of February last year. I was going to say October. I'm thinking about this month. And it was really shocking. I always say that you never know how you're going to react when you hear those words. It's like a really bad dream that you just want to pinch to know if it's like real. Is that true what I'm hearing? And I got home and I threw away all the pillows. I was mad, I was sad, I was crying. I was like in so many moods at the same time. And it wasn't easy for me at the beginning. I did have a lot of support because the same day that I found out about the cancer, I had all my people from church. I think I said that the last time I was here. From the church, they went home. They went to the lobby of my complex, and they bring guitars, flamenco box, two guys from worship team that sing beautiful. They start to sing God songs. I was with a friend that was not from the church, and he would just turn around and say like, all these people are here for you? And I'm like, I guess that's what God do. And it was amazing that day. It was like a bad day, and at the end of the day, it was like a really good and comforting day. But the whole struggle came after, because when you hear those words, you need to act like really fast. So it was really fast that I did my first surgery. Was my double mastectomy. The second surgery was to take out some lymph nodes. They took out 27.
Wow.
19 were positive.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
So the choice was chemo right away. And I didn't have time for anything, not even to think. So it was like one thing after the other one. And this month was the double mastectomy. Next month was the ports put on to do the chemo and to take out those lymph nodes. Chemo started next month in July. So it was like one thing after the other one, and it was 6 months of chemo. Very emotional. I think I went through all the process. Like chemo was and is emotional because you see yourself in the mirror. I was already seeing myself in the mirror with no boobs.
Right.
I always tell the joke that I'm a Venezuelan without boobs. That's not fair. God, come on. I mean, soon, like I already have, like soon. And after you do chemo, you see yourself without eyebrows, without eyelashes, without hair, and you hear what these ladies are talking about, that you never take one day for granted. Like, life becomes so valuable, the people that you have around. Like, I was never the person that was like, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. And I don't care who I say I love you, I just tell them I love them, because I don't know if today something happens, we don't know that. But cancer kinds of, this is gonna sound hard, but cancer kinds of prepare you for that. And you just like, okay, if today is my last day, what would I do?
Right.
And that's how you start to see your life. And you pray, like in my case, I pray from the moment I woke up to the moment that I end up my day, because I know that God has provided me with one more day. And that's such a huge blessing. And yes, every time that I was going through chemo, that I was seeing myself like that with no hair. By the way, this is real hair. It's starting to come out.
All right. Got the real hair going on.
The real hair. But I am a wig girl too. I have a lot of wigs at home. I love them. But if anybody out there wants them and needs them, please let me know. I'll give my number to Ted, and please just allow me to have that gift for you. And yes, it's kind of like you don't recognize the person that is there. And it's like, I know that this is temporary. I know that God has a plan for this, and I know that things will get better, and they are gonna get better. So if there is anybody out there that is going through something like that, I would recommend to stay positive, to trust God, rely on Him, pray like you have never prayed before, and yes, then came radiation. But I don't know if you want me to tell that story.
Did all of you have radiation?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, radiation it was more painful. Like, chemo was emotional. Radiation was painful. Painful that I could throw myself at the floor crying of pain. And it doesn't matter who I had around, I literally went down on the floor with the pain. Because it's like your skin is exposed, like it is like a burn, like something burns you. And I had to put all these creams and lotions, and every time I had to try to put the lotion, it hit the skin, and it's so painful.
And the thing that amazes me about that, what you guys are talking about, is that, again, you're still having to live your regular life. You can't just go to radiation, go to chemo, and then crawl up in a ball for until the next time. You have to live your life. You have to work. You have to take care of your family. You have to do the things, because life doesn't stop, and it can't stop. So I mean, it's so much. I mean, you guys are heroes too to me. I just think it's just amazing what you all you persevered through it, and I think a lot of people look to that, because the stats, and Nadia, I haven't forgotten you. The stats can be scary, right? And so, and then you see all these horrible stories of the person lost their battle, and I know that's got to have an impact on your mind and your brain, and so you're constantly fighting to be positive. I would think it's got to be a chore. It has to be it's an activity you have to be super intentional and purposeful about.
And you feel bad if you're not that way, because you feel like you've been given a second chance.
Yes.
You know? So I struggle with that too, in feeling like, I survived that, so now I should enjoy every second of every day of all life.
Right.
And it's not, your mindset gets refocused on other things, and I still try to bring myself back to remember, I have a purpose here, and God has a plan for me, and I'm not going to like every day, and I'm not going to like every person, and that's okay, and give yourself, some slack on that, because it is hard. You feel like so many people, I like to say overcome in a different way instead of loss. I like to say overcome and are on to the next of, their eternal life, hopefully. But it is hard, because you compare yourself and how you're living with those you feel like should still be here,
right,
that have overcome and gone on to the next.
Well, survivor's guilt. There's a lot of
survivor's guilt, exactly.
All right, Nadia.
Sorry.
No. You're good.
I did not have breast cancer. Let me start with that. I had thyroid cancer, metastasized to the lungs and the bones, which I told before, it was stage 4 because it's metastasized right throughout your body.
Is that what metastasize means?
Yeah.
It's gone to your other organ.
Yeah, it's spread. They say that thyroid cancer is the good cancer, right? Because it's so manageable with treatment, which it is. It's radiation that what I got based on my age and at the time was radiation, which I thought was a blessing because I had heard about chemo and I was in my 20s and losing my hair was not something I wanted. But it was the first thing I thought, you know. And I didn't really delve too much into it. I just sort of, like they said, it goes really fast. And I thank the doctors at Beth Israel in Boston for not really sitting down and saying every single step and step after that. But it's just, I think they do it so much they know they're going to give you as much information as you need for you to come back. And then take it from there.
Right.
Because otherwise, if they tell you what you're really in for, who's going to say yes to that?
Well, like it's like knowing a fate, and then you have to live with knowing the fate.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
who wants to? I mean, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
there's definitely something mental about not having
Yes.
all of the details.
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and based on the personality, not the personality, but my mentality that I had at the time, it wouldn't have done me any good. I wasn't told that it was stage 4. That terminology was not used. I wasn't even told while I was going, I was told it got spread.
That's good.
But I wasn't, the word metastasized, I didn't see until I had to provide some paperwork for work. And then that's where I saw the word, and then I looked it up, and I was like, whoa, like,
Right.
because for me, everything just went by so quickly. And I think I went from taking life for granted and making very dumb comments like, I suck at life, or of course me, right? That was sort of the tape that I used to play all the time.
Sure.
And when this happened, I quickly just thought to myself, you know, no, that was not bad. Like this here, this is bad.
Right.
So,
Perspective.
yes.
Yeah.
So you know, it definitely changed my mentality. And so I quickly, I think, just drowned in like tenacity for, I don't not want to be here.
Right.
And I had that conversation with God, you know, like they said, you know, you pray. And I always thought I was lucky to have radiation and not chemo. And as a matter of fact, last year in July, for childhood cancer for St. Baldrick's, I shaved my whole head because I think part of me felt like, you know, I've had this journey with cancer. I did not experience losing all my hair. And I thought, poor kids, you know, that have to go through that. And my father told me about the organization. So I said, okay, I'm gonna do it.
Wow.
So I didn't plan it. I didn't receive funds for it, like do any sort of fundraiser. I just thought today's the day. It's come to my head, so pun intended. So I'm just gonna do it, you know. And for me, I remember I made the decision. I thought about the kids because when I was going through cancer, I had a coworker whose son did not make it. And I came back to work.
Wow.
And I filled her with hope, and I said, you know, don't give up, like I'm back. And I remember her saying, like, he's down to 50 pounds, like he's just not looking good. So that's who I thought of in the moment for that. And I had my father do it. He kept walking in and out of the bathroom, and I'm like, it's just like, go to a 1 and he'd be like, okay, he did like half.
Well,
And then he
that's
would
got
walk
it. That
out.
must have been very. Wow. I don't. As a dad, I probably would bawl my eyes out if I did that.
Well, I didn't notice until like the 8th time that he walked out, you know, that the reason afterwards he told me, he's like, it brought me back to the first time you got diagnosed, and this is what I thought we would be doing.
Right.
And so, you know, I didn't realize I was putting my father through that. I just thought, you know, it's for a good cause.
Sure.
And then after it was done, I'm like, okay, so now I'm gonna, you know, post a picture and just have, you know, show support, right? Because it's not an easy thing. You think hair, you think no big deal. But you know, and mind you, that was done by choice, let alone imagine your hair going and you don't have the choice. It is something, especially I think as a woman, that is can be traumatizing, and you have to, it's like we place so much beauty in hair, and once it's gone, you're seeing literally what's really under. You're completely naked.
Well, especially I think it's harder for women.
Yes.
Because most women are known for your hair. Like
Yes.
dudes, I've got this short haircut. I don't have any man bun or any of that stuff. But I think women in general, that is a very hard thing to deal with because you're used to primping it and combing it and doing all the things that you guys do with it. And that's a part of you that you're so used to even from the earliest ages. Your parents curled your hair, you got this special haircut, and so that's got to be very, very challenging when you lose your hair.
That was my breaking point, if I may.
Was it?
Sarah. It was my breaking point, but it was one of many. One of them it was seeing myself without boobs, but they prepare me for that. They prepare me for your. This is the medication that is gonna throw your hair away. So I'm like, okay, you know that your hair is gonna be gone, and I'm like, okay. But I never, I just said okay. I never thought about when it was gonna happen.
Right.
And when it did happen, I was at the radio, and I filled up 2 trash cans of hair.
Wow.
And I would be like passing this, like that, and all the pieces of hair, I don't know what to call that, would come in my hand. And it was such a strong, I remember that moment, and I get things and feelings. And it's hard because you're seeing that the first part that it came off, it was this, so I started to put bands.
Oh, sure.
And I remember that was the 2nd of August. I remember clearly. The 4th of August is my birthday. And my sister-in-law did this surprise for me, this surprise party with friends. And she did a video with everybody that I know that is outside the United States, that is in Venezuela, even my German shepherds, like my puppies. And it was a 19-minute video with all the people that love me and that I love them. And they were like saying, we're here with you. And I saw that video, and the thing that came to my mind was like, the people that is gonna love you is gonna love you no matter what, with
Sure.
or without hair. And it takes a strong thing, I don't know why. Well, that same night, I told my friend, I'm gonna go tomorrow, can you take me there? I'm gonna go tomorrow to shave my head. And he did. And I shaved my head the next day because I knew that the people that were gonna be with me were gonna be with me till the end. So he actually did. I did a video of that shaving head moment. It got, people saw it more than 300,000 times. And it was shared 3,000 times. And it was a moment that I never thought it could change so many lives, and so many lives changed me, because after that I heard so many stories of people going through cancer, even kids. I would receive messages of kids going through cancer that tell me, your video inspired me so much. Here's the story of my son. Here is the pictures. We're going through this. We're leaning on prayer. We're leaning on, and it was such. But it comes after that, and when you see yourself like that, and you go to a mall with a bald head, which I admire. Everybody that is out there, I admire you so much. And people stare at you.
Why so do they stare? I mean, they have to know why. That's the funny thing. So I have seen that. I know that people do it. But I'm like, okay, they're going through, they probably lost their hair to some kind of chemo treatment. Something's going on. It's not the norm for a woman to just shave her head because she wants to shave her head and that's the look she's looking for. It's usually for a cause, it's for a purpose, or it's in support of someone. So do you guys did you get, when you were going through that, were you surprised by the people who were there for you and supported you, and surprised by the ones who did not?
For me, I think, it was such a surreal kind of thing. I thought I was invincible and it wasn't going to happen to me, because they said there's 1% chance, that you won't lose your hair. And I remember the day that I woke up and I ran my fingers through my hair and it just started coming out, and I was like, I'm taking control of this right now.
That's right.
So I put my head over the toilet, I grabbed some shears, and I cut it all off, and Dan fixed me up when he got home, and I was like, it was the best feeling, because when you take control of it, and it's not like it's happening because, you know, the medicine is doing it, and you say, okay, I'm on this now, I got this, I'm doing it, you know? But for me, I never went out bald. I just couldn't. I just felt like I didn't want people to look at me and think I was sick or feel sorry for me. So I could never do that. I always had to have a wig, always. And I loved wearing the wigs because I was like, one day, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you change your color like you wear wigs. I love it. You change your color all the time, and your shape
so now I'm like
sometimes.
addicted to that, you know, and it's not really in my budget to be changing it up all the time. And Dan's like, you got your hair done again. I'm like, yeah, hit that bonus.
Now, are you all go ahead, Nadia.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, go.
And that's the thing, like, I thought to myself, you know, it shouldn't be that way. I mean, no one out there, child, woman, man, whatever have you, it should not be that your beauty depends on this one thing, right? And that the loss of it is taboo, you know, or it should not be that, you know, I mean, when I did it, and my hair thinned out, but it never fell out. But I freaked out then. So to put this in perspective here, I freaked out at my hair thinning out, falling in patches. But this, like, you know, and I remember crying. I remember trying to explain to my boss, like, my hair is falling out this morning. And they couldn't comprehend that because you know, so this
Sure.
is, you know, what these ladies have been through is. And that was one of the things I thought of is, you know, I'm not gonna do this and then, you know, walk around with a hat. So I did. I remember going to the store and this lady was walking around with one of those sweater hats.
Yeah.
And I remember she saw me and she goes, girl, she's like, you are rocking it. And she took her hat and she took it off and she did. She had her bald head and it was either cancer or something else. And she was like, you know what? I don't need this. And she took it off, and then she walked away.
I love that.
And like that to me, I was like, all right, you know. And then just thinking about the kids, you know, like they don't know anything. They don't know. They're not even fully into the world and conceptualizing what beauty is, where our value. You know, I feel like we come in with value, and then it's taken away from us as we live, as we get older. And I think the saddest thing in the world is children going through that and, you know, thinking that they're ugly. Why? Because society is placing all this value on hair.
Well, sure, with kids too. I work with Base Camp, which is a local kids, they work with kids with cancer. And obviously kids are really cruel to each other, so adults are bad enough, but we can usually handle ourselves. But when you've got a whole bunch of kids, you're already in that very sensitive stage, and then you're dealing with an illness, and then kids making fun of you because you've lost a ton of weight, or you've lost your hair, or you haven't been to school in several months, and all of a sudden you come back. It's a big deal no matter what. I agree with the kids. All right, so go ahead. You were going to say something.
In my case, I used to have my hair, nobody has that longer hair here, my hair like on my waist. And I think I was attached to my hair at some point, because when it came off, like I went through all the phases. I went through the, oh my God, I don't want to see myself because I don't want to look sick, because I don't want people to think that I look sick, or have like you know what people think, oh, poor you.
Like pity.
Pity. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't know the word. So I didn't want that, but I once went out with my bald head, and it allowed me to talk about my journey. And I could see the reaction in people, and I could see how people like have that compassionate heart, and it was easy to talk about your journey and to express people how much faith can do.
Yes.
And it was that point when I said, you know what, I'm gonna go through this without the wigs. I use the wigs like to go to events, which normally I have. In the daily basis, I would go out without the wig. But if I get in an Uber, or if I talk to a random person, I would be like, no, I'm going through this, and this is what happened, and it allowed me so much to bring out that conversation and give faith to people and give like. But at the same time, you could see, like, I lost many friends as well.
Well, I remember that scene. Yeah. There's a scene in Sex and the City when Kim Cattrall, she's going through, she's sweating to death. It's a funny scene, but a poignant scene. And she finally swears, God bless her, and she rips that wig off and throws it somewhere, and then lots of the women in the audience start standing up and taking off their wigs because the wigs can be hot. I mean, in Florida, I can't even imagine. So you're also and I think that was such a great point. Like, okay, at some point you got to take control, and it's easy for me to say that here because I didn't go through it, but I can sense from you guys that you couldn't control the cancer, but you wanted something in your life that you could control, and so you got ahead of it.
We need to learn. We learn how to react to the circumstances, and nobody can take that from you.
Right.
You have
Like,
to.
you know, like what happened with cancer is that in my case, it's the hair, it's your breast, it's this. When you dress with your clothes and your clothes doesn't fit the same because you're flat. But then you said, okay, I can handle this. I'm not gonna let this.
Right.
I'm just gonna put my lipstick on my mascara.
My lipstick
and
on.
I'm just gonna keep walking.
Yep.
And I'm gonna be fine. But then when you lose everything suddenly, one day that you wake up and you can see my case that I have a mess that I lost my vision, then every day that I wake up and I can see, I'm like, oh, I'm so blessed. When I see my hair, oh my God, I'm so blessed. Now I have my new boobies because I reconstruct. Oh my God, I look so damn hot. Then I celebrate everything.
All right, so we have to, unfortunately, begin to wrap up. We'll share whatever. I've tagged all 4 ladies in the post, but we'll tag again. And if I know all 4 of them, so if you want to talk to somebody, if you have questions, all 4 of them I know are open. So you're welcome to click on the tag, and then you can message them privately, reach out to them, or you can reach out to me and I'll put you in touch with them and do an intro. First, before I finish, I have to say how brave you guys are. I think it's just amazing that you come out and tell your stories and you're willing to share your stories, because all of you have said it. You got a reaction when you shared it, and that's good because people want to know. And if they're going through it, a lot of times you feel like you're going through it by yourself because nobody around them understands it. So to talk to somebody who has been through it definitely is hugely helpful. So I appreciate you guys sharing your stories. Now share one last thing. Are there any parting words of wisdom for them? Anything you want them to know? And we'll start in the back again with Odalis.
It's life, amazing life after cancer.
Love it. Christina.
Yeah, and I feel like, for me, it's my relationship with God, and how he's really just orchestrated my circumstances, and just the pushing pink elephants, finding an organization, that can help you, or just, nobody understands, like you were saying, Ted, but when you reach out or you have somebody that you can connect to, because as having cancer and going through it, your friends are struggling, your family is struggling, and you feel like you still have to be so strong.
Sure.
But you also need somebody to support you that can understand and relate. So I just can't say enough about getting involved, with an organization, and just having, that relationship with God, that he's going to direct all things.
I love it. All right, any parting words of wisdom from you, Sandra?
Well, it has to do about the environment that you are at. All the people that you have surround you. Get away of the people that are negative. Get away of the people that are telling you and giving you like a death sentence, to say that in such a way, because there are people that can put negativity around you, and you have enough with that diagnosis.
Amen to that.
So it has to do with the people around you. Like, the people around me, they sometimes had even more faith than me in that I was going to get healed, that I was going to be better. And sometimes I couldn't even believe it, but they showed me how to have that faith, how to have that mindset. And it has allowed me to be here. 2 days, 19th of October, I heard that there is no more cancer on me.
Yay! Woo! Isn't that
That's
amazing?
Something
That's a
I haven't
blessing.
said before. I was telling Ted, like, I need to say something. I want to say that, but make sure that the people around you always bring out the best in you.
Amen.
If they don't, get away. Get
Beautiful.
away in a very nice way.
Thank you for sharing that, Sandra. All right, Nadia, you're going to wrap it up for us.
Well, I'd like to just express gratitude to you and to these ladies. This moment for me is very serendipitous because, you know, when we first spoke about coming on the show, I was getting the radioactive scan, and the reason being is I had a lump in my thyroid area and a lump in my breast, and they checked it out. The lump in my breast they're just going to monitor. It's been there, but it's for me this moment's very like my gratitude for life and these stories is just magnified, and it just puts, you know, my story and this, it just puts it so in perspective for me, and it makes me feel even more grateful. My thought process was I'm just going to do what I've always done, go to the scan, get it done, continue with life, and make sure not to go down the spiral, what if, right? And this moment, the biggest thing when it comes to cancer or anything that you go through is you have to keep going and know that the resiliency, the moment you say, okay, this is what's happening now, but we're gonna keep it moving, no matter what. And that just, you know, it makes your life better every day when you just keep it in perspective. And that's all you can have. I've said it before. I'm a big advocate of 24 hours, you know, and you stick to that. And you know, this is gratitude. Like we have the perspective of a different perspective, but on a huge level of gratitude for being here.
Amen. All right, so
We
you
love you,
all, I love you guys so much, you beautiful ladies. Thank you guys for watching the show. Share it. There's got to be somebody I know in your life that could use these powerful and inspirational stories of survival. They survived. They took control. So I love all four of you. I love you guys, and we'll see you soon.